Welcome, everyone. I'm Henry DeVries, co-author of the book Rainmaker Confidential. And today we're going to talk about Rainmaker tools for consultants. So this is from my new book. I co-authored it with Scott Love and Mark LeBlanc. It's called Rainmaker Confidential. Let's go back to that scary time of Friday the 13th, 2020, Friday the 13th, March 2020, when we went into lockdown. And I was curious, what would the top rainmakers at professional service firms, consulting firms, the people who sell their time and their talent, their expertise, what would they do to make it rain when you couldn't meet with people in person, you couldn't give live speeches, you couldn't go to networking events? What would they do? So I interviewed more than 100 top rainmakers and found out what they were doing more of, what they were doing less of, what they couldn't do anymore, and where were they going to invest. And we all invest our time, we invest our, we say treasure, but that's money. We all invest our time, our money, and then also our energy, our talent, our expertise. Where were you going to put that? And that was all chronicled in this book. Now I'm going out on a 16-city speaking tour, and we're going to share the highlights of this book, and it's called the Rainmaker Tools for Consultants Tour. So we're going throughout the country. I have several tour partners. They'll be joining me as speakers at some of the events. We'll have a different lineup at each one. And I wanted to share some of the tools they're bringing to the table, because I'll give you the quick overview on it. The number one way to attract clients is to speak. And then a book or a podcast or some other means of sharing information is the number one marketing strategy that the Rainmakers use. And the Rainmakers use these interviews. Like, I'm a columnist with Forbes.com. I'm paid to do that. I've done it for 5 years. I've been a journalist since I was 15 years old, so I have a little background. But that column also helps me meet people, focus on people, opens doors. My business at Indie Books International, I'm the president, CEO, and I call that Chief Encouragement Officer. At Indie Books International, my business has been run by the 4 magic words in the English language. I know a guy. So when people are looking for somebody to help them attract high-paying clients by marketing with a book and a speech, people will say, I know a guy, Henry DeVries. I'm not sure what the equivalent is. I'm still searching for it for females when people would say, it's not I know a gal. It's not I know a lady, I know a female. Some women have said, just say I know a guy and her name is Teresa or her name's Elaine. That works too. So with that, I wanted to go first to Elaine Kalakos, because speaking is so important. And Elaine is an expert. She wrote the book Claim the Stage, and she works with people on TED Talks. That would be an important thing if you can do a TED Talk. It's a great credibility builder. But also, Elaine has taught us so much on rocking the short talk. There's so many times now, some of the speaking is online, it's visual, so you need to rock that short talk. So Elaine helps us do it. Elaine, welcome. How are you today?
I'm super duper, because, I'm here talking about one of my favorite things on the planet.
So I didn't set you up well. Elaine was a New York City actress, Hollywood actress, singer-songwriter, and then I don't know if you were discovered by this group of the people who are in the business of expert and claiming their expertise, but they certainly have been very gifted to have you come into their life. So tell us, what's the best advice you're giving people these days?
It's the same advice that I've been giving all along, which is you have a choice. You can either hover in the wings wrapped up in your cloak of invisibility, or you can choose to claim the stage, to step out onto the speaking platform and share your message. I don't think there is anything more important or better, I'm with you on this one, Henry, a better means of marketing yourself than getting out there and sharing something that's in your wheelhouse, that you are giving from your heart as a gift, if you will, to potential clients who sit in that audience, get a feel for you, and in a sense, rub up against you and then think, I want more of that person. You know, in my own work, I've said this for years, but speaking begets speaking, and I'm a professional speaker as well as a coach and a trainer. But speaking also begets relationships, which create coaching relationships, which create advocacy. You know, so for me, it's about helping people get out of their own way, whether they're struggling with fear, you know, and many of us do, you know, fear of showing up out there and being vulnerable with eyeballs on you in a spotlight moment, whether it's not knowing how to put the message together and needing some hand-holding to put together a rockin' short talk or a brilliant keynote speech, right? Or a book talk, right? That helps to not just highlight that book, but creates a conversation that invites people to step in, buy the book, recommend the book. You know, in any of those areas, right? Often people need somebody else to, well, be a trusted advisor, you know, be there for them, be in their back pocket and help them bring their best, help them perform at their peak, help them claim that stage in the best manner possible. That's what I do. That's why I call myself the speaker whisperer.
Like the horse whisperer.
Like the horse whisperer.
Okay, speaker whisperer. You have so many great stories. I was hoping you could share one. I have ideas, but I'll leave it to you on somebody who you've helped take from problem to solution, from, as one of our authors says, mess to success in the speaking journey.
Well, I have to say that I'm going to immediately share a story of a client who was really, in many respects, the catalyst from my book, Claim the Stage. Her name, well, we'll call her Marina. And Marina is a high-level scientist, an expert in her field at a major university. And she came to me because she was feeling so many versions of unseen, unheard, unappreciated. She was working in a department where she was the only woman. And she said to me, in this teeny, teeny, tiny voice, she said, Elaine, I'm sick of it. I am sick of my colleagues not paying attention to me or taking me seriously. Even my own family doesn't take me seriously. In fact, you know, I'm overlooked everywhere I go. My best friends, my closest family members, they call me Mushka, which is mouse in Russian. She said, I don't want to be Mushka anymore. And I said, I don't want you to be Mushka anymore either. So she stepped into a coaching relationship with me. And, you know, we just rolled up our sleeves and together we helped her reorient and shift what I call the lies that bind you, limiting beliefs that were causing limiting behaviors. We helped her from the inside out begin to find this confidence, figure out what the lines were that she didn't want somebody else to broach, figure out what she wanted, what she needed, and what she wanted to ask for. And then we practiced these things. So she got to the point where no one had to struggle to hear her, where she spoke in a voice that meant business, where she was clear about where the boundaries were. And she reached a point with me that she was like a different person. In fact, she sent me my favorite, most beloved of all little gifts I've ever gotten from anyone who's ever worked with me. It was a little card she wrote to me after she had arrived in another city, in another state, at a new, even better job, right? That she had fought for and advocated for and gotten for herself. And it said, Elaine, I am not Mushka anymore. I get goosies just thinking about that.
Thank you so much, Elaine. If you want more on how to rock the short talk, Elaine has done an interview with us. We have that video. It's on our video channel at indiebooksinternational.com. Also, Devin, if you could put in the chat Elaine's email address and the name of her book, that would be great. And Elaine, I know you need to run out, and I was so grateful that you came on with us today and you squeezed us in before your next engagement. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Henry.
And we're so honored that you're one of our tour partners for the Rainmaker Tools workshop.
So am I.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Elaine. And now, next, I would like to bring up Russell Trahand, if we could pin Russell. So we said the top thing to do, number one thing to do, is to speak. You speak in small scale seminars, you get invited on other people's stages. I know when I'm doing events, one of the first people I call is Russell Trahand. And Russell is a great speaker. So Devin, if you could pin Russell and I to be side by side, that'd be great.
I haven't been pinned since I was in college.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go.
And that was on the wrestling team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So getting published is, I always say number one in all my studies is putting on small scale seminars. And that can be on Zoom like we're doing today. Two, second best thing you can do is get invited on other people's stages and to speak. Russell does a lot of speaking. He's one of our authors at Indie Books. Help me, boss. It's sell without saying.
Sell yourself without saying a word.
That's it. I'm sorry. Sell yourself without saying a word.
I could bring it closer.
There you go. You should always, if you're an author, always have that book handy, baby.
Yes.
Okay. So the third best thing you can do is give how-to advice in print. Well, it's one thing to write an article, say 1,000 words. It's another one to get it into print. And when we say print these days, we're not only talking about physically printed. I think it's more valuable that it's printed online.
Yes.
So with that, the head of PR Public Relations and here to talk to us about the Bylined article writing service. Please welcome our tour partner, Russell Trahand. Russell, take it away.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. Glad to be here. And yes, to your point, we have one of our longtime clients, Jill Johnson out of Minnesota, that she's been with us over 5 years now, more than 5 years. And she, one of the things she loves is the SEO, that the organic SEO that the article placements bring her. She said before she started working with us, nobody ever called her up and just said, oh, I found you online. I found you by searching online. So yes, the SEO is a very important part of what we do. But let me back up a little bit. Henry mentioned he's a columnist from Forbes, and that is fantastic. Like he said, it's also a great career or credibility builder. It sounds super when you're being introduced to the platform. A little story I love to tell also is about a client of ours, Peter Coppell, with Coppell Direct out of Dallas, Texas. We worked with him for a number of years. We got him interviewed several times in Entrepreneur Magazine because we are a full service agency in addition to the targeted trade and industry magazines. We also do work with newsstand magazines and daily newspapers. But this one particular instance, we got him into Entrepreneur magazine with a 3-page spread. They sent a photographer to his office, had him standing in front of his logo. It was gorgeous. We called him up when we finally got the copies and said, "Isn't this fantastic, Peter? It's wonderful." He said, "Yeah, it's nice." We're like, "Come on, Peter, 3 pages in Entrepreneur." He says, "Russell, I got to tell you, when you get me in a trade or industry magazine, that's what gets the phone to ring. When I send them Entrepreneur, I get the job. But what gets the phone to ring is the trade and industry magazines." Now, a couple of examples. I mean, you've all heard of Forbes. Henry mentioned it earlier. You've all heard of Forbes. How many of you have ever heard of OTC Beauty Magazine? This is an association magazine for over-the-counter cosmetics. Okay, they hired Mark Victor Hansen to be the keynote of their convention last summer. Now, we all know the rates that Mr. Chicken Soup for the Soul gets for 45 minutes of his time. So obviously, this association, which a lot of people might go meh over, they've got the money and they're hiring speakers, and they're hiring keynotes, they're hiring after lunch, they're hiring workshops. So this is a great magazine to be in. I mentioned earlier Entrepreneur magazine. Everybody's heard of that. But how many people have heard of Cleaner magazine? This is the magazine for the Western Association of Sanitation Workers. They did printed a report the other day that showed that for their summer convention, they pay over $20,000 for a keynote, up to $15,000 for other main stage speakers, and between $5,000 and $12,000 for their workshop speakers. So you may think, I don't want to be in a porta potty association magazine, but that's where the money is. That's where the owners, executives, entrepreneurs, and C-suite level decision makers are. And that's where meeting planners go, knowing that when you're in their trade magazine, you've got an instant stamp of endorsement. It's instant credibility that your message is applicable to their audience. And many times meeting planners go to their association magazines looking for speakers for their upcoming convention. So, by all means, keep going for the Forbes, keep going for the Entrepreneur. They sound great when you're being introduced to the platform, but what gets you to the platform is those targeted niche publications.
Well, Porta Potty magazine smells like money to me.
It does, doesn't it? It smells like it to them too.
Yep.
Yep.
So now Russell has written a book. He gives all his secrets away in the book. He'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Yep.
But the relationships Russell has are golden. So Russell, I've been the president of a PR agency. PR is risky, publicity is risky. It doesn't always work. What percentage of clients have you been successful in placing bylined articles for?
Well, Henry, thank you so very much for asking. Go ahead and mail his check.
Yes.
At PRPR, I am very happy to say that we have a 20+ year history of getting 100% of our clients placements in trade, industry, and association magazines. And I hear it monthly, if not weekly. I spent all this money on publicity and I got nothing for it. And that, there can be a couple of different reasons for that, but and unfortunately I have to solve a lot of my industry's problems. But if you hire an agency that knows your business model, if they know who your target market is and where your target market is, and like Henry said, has that history, has those relationships with it, because it's something you can do yourself, certainly, but you can shortcut a system by working with somebody that already knows who to call to get you those placements right away.
So our tour partners are people that I have paid money to work with them, for them to help me. So we have vetted them. We don't let just anybody be associated with our company on a partner level. So these are people who we've seen it work time and time again. It's been very successful. We could get a lot deeper into it. Russell, I just want to leave with something because you've left some clues here. The other secret of this is merchandising the publicity you get.
Yes.
Saying that your work was talked about in these publications, having reprints. I have PDFs that I'm able to send people. Trusted advisors come to me all the time and they say, Henry, I want to have more credibility in the marketplace. I want to have more impact. I want to have more influence. And then they look at this. I say, well, we'll teach you how to do this. We'll give you the book. We'll encourage you, or we'll introduce you to somebody who can help you do it and has a 100% success track record for 20 years. As one of our authors said, you can't cheap your way to the top. Sometimes you need to invest in these things. You need to be a better speaker. You need to have help with the connections in the publications. So Russell, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I too am going to bow out,
Okay.
but happy to be here. Look forward to seeing you in Tampa.
Before you leave,
Yes.
somebody said, says, you don't have to tell people you're busy, but if you want, you have to tell people you're in demand. Russell
Yes.
is in demand. So I was
like
very
that.
grateful he would spend this time with us this morning. Thank you, Russell.
Always happy to. You call, I'm always happy to do it. So
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Well, let's have Nona Prather Speaker Marketing Services. So if we could pin Nona, thanks. So, and Nona, you're looking good there. You're looking good. And people don't know, but Nona's in a part of the country where she might have to evacuate this afternoon for fire. So I'm really appreciative that you're on. And if Nona says gotta run, then we know why she's gotta run. People come to me all the time and say, okay, you said the second best thing is to get on stages, other people's stages. And that can be literal and virtual these days. But something that eludes them that's a mystery is, how do I get paid as a speaker? And from a Rainmaker standpoint, this is important because you can waive a speaking fee. I always say an expert with a book should be speaking at least for $5,000 to $10,000. That's my range. And there are certain stages you cannot get on, I cannot get on, unless I prove I'm worthy of being a $5,000 to $10,000 speaker. So there's some aspects to that. A book really helps, but it's not the sole thing. Next is a speaker one sheet. You need to be able to communicate value and what you bring to an audience in one piece of paper. You have to have that. The third thing the speakers bureaus tell me is, I need a great video of you speaking in front of other people so I can see the audience reaction. So it's just social proof. Before somebody will pay you money to be on their stage, they have to have these things. We just scored this morning with one of our authors being a paid speaker at a national conference. That conference will help build her video for her sizzle reel. So there's all these things you have to look at. But enough of me. We've got Nona here, the expert. Nona, what's the best advice you can give people about being a paid speaker?
Yes, so I do have a lot of experience with this because I grew up with my dad as a speaker, and I met Henry and I met Mark. And so I've been to NSA lots of times. So just kind of became a booking agent as my profession, and I love it. I love helping other people. So yes, so I wrote down just a few tips. Definitely be passionate. I have people who come to me and they say, I want to get paid to get speaking. What's the best thing to speak on that pays? And I mean, they have to know their subject. If they don't know, which having a book is definitely a qualifying factor, because obviously if you wrote a book on it, you know what your topic is. But it astounds me, the people who come and say, I just want to get paid to get speaking, and they don't know a thing about what they're talking about. So yeah, you definitely have to have passion, or else you're gonna look bad on stage, and people can tell for sure. So that's my number one tip. My number two is, it takes a lot of work. I watched my dad and many others just sit on the phone for 8 hours a day, making phone call after phone call after phone call. And then my job was to fax that person his one sheet. And so to try to get bookings and to keep that relationship going. So we would also send them postcards, books, It was a lot of marketing. And the main thing was reaching out on the phone, is because you create that relationship when you're voice to voice, but it is a lot of work. And so, and then let's see, I'm kind of going fast. Number 3 is be prepared. Like Henry said, you have to have your one sheet. You have to have your demo video. And I say no more than 2 minutes. They do not want to sit there and watch a 10-minute video. So 30 seconds literally has been my best seller. A 30-second demo video, they hired him right away and it was great. So 30 seconds to 2 minutes is really all you need. Don't overthink it, like keep it simple. And then I'm sorry, I can't read my writing because I was writing it really fast. Have representation, duh. So that's what it says.
That would be you, wouldn't it be, Nona?
I'm like,
Representation.
my handwriting. I put presentation,
You should have been a doctor with that
No.
handwriting.
I was like scribbling it so fast because I knew I only had like 5 minutes. So if you have someone in your corner, like a booking agent, they can negotiate on your behalf oftentimes better than you can, because chances are you're going to say, they'll go, well, we don't really have the budget. And you're like, that's probably not true. So you can have someone in your corner looking out for you. So that's what we do as a booking agent. We have the best interests for our clients' speakers in mind. So for an example, one of my friends, Cam, he said, I want to be paid to get talks. And he's very successful now, but he was charging $2,000 for talk. And I was like, what are you doing? You could get so much more. He had a lot of experience, a very interesting story. I saw him as like completely sellable. So I ended up selling him. He said, okay, well, let's try this out. I'll let you negotiate on my behalf before I hire you. I got him $10,000 and he was blown away. And now he regularly gets $5,000 to $6,000 to speak. And I'm talking, he's my highest booker. I book him like 3 or 4 times a month. So, I mean, it pays to have someone, whether it's a VA, like for my dad, it was his kids, but having someone in your corner really does help. And plus they can do the calls for you and help you find the paid speaking opportunities. So it just pays to have a team of experts representing you.
So for those at home, the NSA she talked about is the National Speakers Association. And the Mark she talked about is Mark LeBlanc, past president of the National Speakers Association, mentor to her father, and mentor to me, and also my business partner at Indie Books International. And a VA is a virtual assistant, somebody you can hire for, I'd say $25 to $50 is the range. And anything that they could be doing, you should have them do, because there are things that they cannot do, mainly get on the phone. One of my most successful authors and a person who made $1 million a year as a speaker and a consultant, and credits me with helping with that. His name is Tom Searcy, and Tom says, when Tom ain't on the mic or on the phone, we ain't making money. So he can speak proper English, but the note there is, that's your job as the expert, is on the mic, on the phone. If it can be somebody else like Nona handling the representation and those initial outreaches, also the researching of the list. It was so important, your story about, that's like somebody, this is a dated reference, walking into a travel agency. Yes, millennials, there used to be this business where people helped you travel places instead of using the internet. And then saying, oh, I want to go on vacation. Where? Oh, Hawaii or Europe. Asia's good. I've always wanted to go to Africa. It's like, you got to be specific. And on speaking, you have to be an expert. You have to have the right to be in front of that audience. And if you give Nona the right target group, you have the right to be there. You have the right PDF and the right under 2-minute video, then you're in alignment. You can make these things happen. Nona, any other piece of advice you wanted to leave everyone before you go?
I put in my website. So if anybody wants to talk more, I have, I of course have a lot longer talk on this, but I gotta go. But so if anybody wants to talk at a later date next week, I'm definitely open. And my booking is on my website, my calendar. So.
You can also Google Nona, Nona, Prather, Prather, and Forbes.com. I've written an article with her advice. She's done a video for us, 45-minute video with lots of advice and tips, and I recommend that to everyone. Nona, thanks for being a partner on the tour. Looking forward to getting you out to some of those locations. If you have to slip off, Nona, I understand.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Some of those locations, we're going to Chicago, Boston, Indianapolis, San Diego, Irvine, California, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Tampa, Louisville, Kentucky, Phoenix, and San Francisco. So we're going around. There's a website Devin can put into the chat, rainmakerconfidential.com /workshops, and that'll take you to all the workshops. The workshops are $200. There's an $89 early bird price you can get in on. If you're a member of the Institute of Management Consultants USA or the Public Relations Society of America, those are both organizations I belong to, and I make donations to on their foundations. So they get a $67 price on that, and a big portion of that money goes to the organizations. So that's the tour. Like to have Craig Lauder now come on board. Craig Lauder is one of our authors at Indie Books and one of the partners of the tour. And Craig, what is the name of your upcoming book? Oh, and you're on mute, Craig. And now you're magically disappearing. That's interesting. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There I am, I think.
Okay, got it. So Craig, I was just asking if you could tell us about your upcoming book that you and I are working on together.
Yes, I'm delighted. It's called Trusted Advisor Confidential, and it's directed towards anyone who's responsible for making it rain as well as delivering some type of a professional service.
So this is a follow-up to Rainmaker Confidential. We went and did a deeper dive with people who identify themselves as trusted advisors. So think of financial planners, think of people who are not only in law or accounting. Craig, what are some other types of people that would be classified as trusted advisors?
Consultants, coaches, wealth managers, accountancies, law firms, executive consultants or coaches, anyone that again is responsible primarily for earning money for themselves by going out and delivering a service. And they can be independents or they can be part of a larger firm.
Yeah. So Craig has a 20+ years successful track record with increasing revenues for this group from 35 to 200%. And in the recent research that we did together, we found this pattern emerged. So the insight from the book is there's a certain pattern, a client acquisition process that people navigate by. So Craig teaches workshops on how to put in a process, stars to guide you by. And Craig, talk about the process that you teach trusted advisors.
There are, and I'm going to jump back if I may, Henry, to the stars. Ancient mariners use stars to guide their journey. And as trusted advisors, we need to navigate the complex buying journey of our prospective clients. But the journey is still the stars. And there are 6 stars that we should follow. And specifically, one of them is about having a documented client acquisition process. It's a system, it's a progression of steps, interactions, tools, questions that one needs to choreograph like they choreograph a dance. And as a result of having done that myself, I can say that my close ratio for the last 4 years has been close to 90% or 9 out of 10. But quite frankly, that's only part of the story. You got to target the right audience. You got to deliver a message that distinguishes yourself from your competition. And you need to put together a sales scorecard, which quite frankly measures your activities as well as your results. And of course, and this is Henry's part of the book, you have to generate quality leads for your business. And there's nothing better than writing a book and speaking. My first book, Henry, I can probably say that over the past 5 years, I can indicate, I can definitely attribute that over $800,000 in personal income came from writing the book and doing small scale seminars.
In the book, Rainmaker Confidential, we call what Craig did the Trojan horse strategy. So the Trojan horse was in Greek mythology, the gift that the Greeks gave the Trojans to get on the inside. And Craig is excellent at leveraging a book. Craig doesn't really care how many copies of his book sells, honest. But he gets the books into the hands of the right people, and he uses the book to leverage his speaking engagements. So he is speaking in front of the right people. And that's one of the secrets he brings. Craig, what I think is important about your work is it's not really so much helping people who are struggling, it's helping the good get better. As the scripture says, iron sharpens iron. So you're in there to help a successful group of trusted advisors get more successful and grow faster and add some rigor, a systematic rigor, a process that's proactive to acquire the right kind of clients. And in there you talk about targeting and that you don't want the wrong kind of clients because they're pulling you down. How do you get those really right fit clients on there? And that's all in your system. Anything else you wanted to share today, Craig?
Nothing that other than I'm honored to be a part of this very illustrious group. Henry and his team and the sponsors of this tour are all excellent, and everything they have to say has tremendous value if you're a trusted advisor, a rainmaker that's seeking to enhance what you currently do.
Yeah, we're going to add a stop on the tour, and that is going to be the launch workshop for the book. And let's say, I think we're looking at September on that. So in
Correct.
September, we'll do the book launch and a workshop, and people can learn about this process in 3 hours in Chicago. And if you know me, you know I'm a baseball nut, and I have visited so far 44 Major League Baseball parks, and I get to Wrigley every year. And it's probably not a coincidence that all these dates on the tour, there's often a ball game going on. So if you want to join Craig and I at a Cubs game or something, you can do that too. Craig, thanks so much for being with us today. And thank you very much for being a tour partner.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to bring on Teresa Ashby, Dr. Teresa Ashby. And it's so important to have different types of conversations with prospects. That's something that came out in our study, that there are what you'd call the meaningful conversation that you want to have. And that's when people want to have a one-on-one with you, and it's strategic. And also they want to know how fast can this be done and what are the options and all that. Before that, you want to have attraction phase conversations. So speaking are attraction phase conversations where you're speaking from one to many and you're getting this message out, and it's attracting the right fit people to you. Well, technology is here, and we don't have to have a shoe shine and a smile, as Arthur Miller said in his Death of a Salesman. So we don't need to go around and do all that. We can do one to many, and that's through technology. Dr. Ashby, thanks for joining us today. What can you share about your work to help trusted advisors and rainmakers?
Well, trusted advisors, consultants, basically we are working with those who are maxed out and they just don't have another billable hour to sell, Henry. I mean, think about it, right?
Yeah.
And the way we're doing this is helping people scale their business by adding this digital product, like you were talking, leveraging technology. And those digital products are things like e-learning courses and workshops, really to their offerings. And that's how people are scaling their businesses these days. And I love it because the people that we are going to
Well,
life at home in my office, in my studio, right?
You're not in an office tower? There's a dog somewhere?
They wanted to have a little part of all of this. What's so great is the consultants and authors and speakers, they already have workshops and speeches and books, and they can convert that intellectual capital into these digital products. And guess what? They can sell them in the back of the room. So not only do they have the book to sell, the next level is to have that e-learning course, and that is leveraging into your bigger VIP packages. And that's so great. And think about it. The e-learning business is a $150 billion industry, and we all need to get on that. And we call it digitize to monetize, right? And really the clients that we're working with, they end up having a bigger impact because their message is spread worldwide. They have the flexibility in their schedule now, and they really have more free time to focus on priorities. And for a lot of people, that's shifted, and people really know that spending time with family has become very important. And when you create these automated e-learning courses, it's sort of encapsulating all this opportunity. So Henry, we love to work with our clients to help them scale their business.
And I guess I'm just going to say it in general terms, because they can watch the video, and I've written articles about you in Forbes, and it has a lot of this information out there. But we're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars to get started in all this. We're talking 3 to 4 figures to get started and see the benefit of it. But it's just this immovable force that we have to move in this direction. Why, if you're maxed out on your time, are you having the same meeting over and over again with 100 different clients where you say the same thing, when you could give them a video to watch, or some might even pay for the video to watch and then hire you? I know one consultant in our study where if you want to hire her, you have to watch the information first. She is not going to have your first meeting unless you've watched this information through the e-learning product, the e-course, or whatever we want to call it. But it's just a more efficient way of getting the information out there. And that just freed up all those hours for her to do more productive things, to make it rain. So Teresa, any other tip or idea you wanted to leave us with?
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect thing. It's about not necessarily generating your revenue. It's about creating those efficiencies you're talking about, Henry. And, we've had clients who were spending 10 hours with one-on-ones, and we were able to help them free up 5 hours by creating these digital products. And when you have 5 extra hours, that helps with getting other clients and upgrading them into that VIP product. And one of our clients, it was like we were teaching her how to price her course, and she got a call from a big corporation saying, "We want your course to go throughout." And she's like, "How do I price that?" And I said, "Well, you could price it at about $3 per person." And she's like, $3 only? And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's 4,000 employees. And by the way, they continuously hire people. So $3 times 4,000 is a pretty good basis." And you're absolutely right. We make it easy, frustration-free, and it really isn't that expensive for us to help you, through that process of concept to creation, all the way through production.
The secret on all this is to know somebody. I know somebody who does this. I know somebody who does that, and that they can help me with that. So if you need help with the e-learning course, if you need help getting booked as a paid speaker, if you need help getting a TED Talk, if you need help with presenting with impact in 5 minutes, if you need a system to navigate by, if you need proof from a third party that you have credibility, from the media quoting you, from the media talking about your work, shining a spotlight on it, that's all very doable. You don't know what you don't know. And also, you know what you know, and you need to spend your time specialized in that, and then get other specialists to help you. The biggest problem my authors who I've helped, and in the last 10 years, I've helped more than 300 people as a ghostwriter, as an editor, as a publisher, to get their client attracting books out there. But the biggest problem they always say to me is, well, I don't know who to trust. And I have to explain to them that writing a book, the book doesn't market an author. An author markets a book. The book is the starting line, not the finish line. It's not like, oh, I got the book done and now we're waiting to be discovered. It's adding to it with the e-learning course. It's adding to it with the paid speaking event when you're in front of an audience of 100 people at a stage at a Marriott or the Intercontinental, and you've got some good video to share on it. It's all these things working together. The magic is in the mix. If you want to earn more credibility, if you want to have more impact, if you want to have more influence, and if you wouldn't mind attracting a few more of the right fit clients. And fit is everything. So thank you, Dr. Ashby. Oh, by the way, from our meeting the other night, I think I left 30 minutes early than I should have from that meeting.
Yes, I think so.
I heard about it for a long time.
I bet you did.
I did. Okay, inside joke there. Thanks everyone for being with us today, and look forward to seeing you on another one of our Zoominars, and we hope to see you in person on our Rainmaker Tools for Consultants workshop tour. Thanks everybody.